can see the peas on the plant, so that's nice to see. And some of the bachelor's buttons over there have lodged in the rain, but that's all right. And then we have the dinner over here. Trampling the daylilies again. Anyway, so it looks like James is going to talk about 100 Hikes of a Lifetime, and that's a National Geographic book. That's his meal. Some French fries, some spring rolls, some lychee nuts. I'm going to review these movies, and TV shows. And that one got top of the stack, but I only rated it 2 out of 5, so that's not saying that much. And I'm going to review that. So, yeah, I guess if you want to get started on the food and I get started on the videos, or what? Okay. Oh, I'm having trouble finding a place to put the camera. There we go. Because I have all those petunias on the ground there. I still haven't planted them. All right, so if you remember, I reviewed the Doritos Magic Masala. I said it was tasty, but definitely not for me. And we grabbed a couple of these, and so I decided to eat one. Not only did it didn't have quite the same reaction, but definitely my digestive system does not like Magic Masala. But it also gave me a bit of a headache, so
wow.
So not for me. Havoc Bulgogi Blaze, very tasty, and a different kind of heat than the Magic Masala. It's the kind of heat that you taste and you're like, "Ooh, that's good," and then you're like, "Oh," you're coughing, you know. So it's like coughing kind of heat. So it's funny how like different kinds of there's different kinds of heat. Like sometimes you'll be sweating and sweating, but none of these did that. So yeah.
I don't like those slow-acting hot things because I like to know
right away.
Yeah, that I can't eat the thing.
Yeah. So anyway, it's very tasty, but I had to eat it with plain yogurt.
Some sort of dairy
Yeah,
product,
because it was just, oh wow, really hot. And let's see what we have here. One of them days. Well, I mean, the title bothers me right away because I'm like, okay, why write them? Just put those. Why one of those days? I don't understand why it has to be them, but maybe it doesn't bother other people. Maybe other people are like, oh, that's great. But it's them. I don't know.
Where is it set? In the U.S.?
Yeah.
Well, at least they didn't say one of them days.
Oh, okay. That's true. I guess you can find a silver lining there, or whatever.
I guess.
Anyway, it's a story about two best friends who are roommates, and honestly,
They look as though they're not that friendly after a certain point. So.
Yeah, well, they had some problems in this, and rightfully so. I mean, the one woman, she has a job and everything, and she doesn't have an education, but she hopes to become a manager. There's a management position open where she's working, and she thinks she'll do a good job at management, with the management position, whatever. So anyway, she has one of those days where it's just nothing is working out for her, and she'd given the rent money to pay the landlord to her best friend / roommate, and her best friend / roommate for some reason gave it to her boyfriend, who's been freeloading off of them, and so the money isn't there to be paid, and the landlord says, no late rent anymore, you're out, you know, that's it, I'm not putting up with it anymore. And anyway, so But yeah, there's a lot of funny things in this, and still at the same time you're like, okay, I cannot possibly identify with either of these people. They're both serious losers. And as much as you want to think, oh well, the one woman, she has a job and she's reliable and whatever, and you think, oh well, her best friend, she's an artist and this and that, and it's like, okay, um,
Well, yeah.
they're both losers.
Mm.
They're both very serious losers, and if you can identify with either one of these people, then um, try something new with your life.
Does she identify herself as an artist? Is that
Her,
the way she describes herself?
well, her other friend paints.
Yeah.
She's an artist.
But okay.
And it all works out in the end somehow. So
Oh,
I don't
one of
know.
those endings.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, the bike riders. This is dreadful. But they were trying for something, you know. I don't know. I was watching this and thinking, I wonder if it's based on real people or whatever, because at the end you see pictures of people that look similar to the people in the story, and you think, okay, well maybe this is. But I'm not sure. I don't really know if this is that way. I didn't watch the bonus features or anything like that, so. But we've all heard stories like this about bike riders, so. Anyway, and well, it is funny, like there's one point where the story is coming from this woman. She's the wife of a bike rider, of a biker. And she doesn't want him to be a biker anymore, and when she's telling the story, but she's known all of these bikers since the beginning of basically since their club was formed, their biker club and gang was formed, and so she's telling the story. And there was one point where she said, you know, she calls them stupid a lot and stuff like that. And I find that interesting. She was saying things like, none of them wanted to follow rules, and that's what they had in common. So they started hanging out together, and then they created a whole bunch of rules to follow, you know, so she's just like, that's ridiculous.
Well, they do have rules, right?
Yeah.
They don't want to follow other people's rules.
No, they want to make their own.
And the
So-
sad thing is, everyone else has to conform to their rules.
Mm-hmm. So it's just, you know, that's aggressive people. Aggressive people don't want to follow rules. And a lot of the time, the system actually lets them get away with it because they know that they can only push them so far, because they don't want to follow the rules. They don't want to be a part of anybody's system, anybody else's system, follow anybody else's rule. And so how do you keep them on board? Well, you can't push them too far. Whereas passive people, well, they're used to accepting just whatever. They'll take the hardest working jobs for lowest pay. They'll take all sorts of things. They'll just put up with it. You know, but aggressive people, no, you can't push them too far. So, anyway, it's interesting. Interesting enough.
It should be
Sadly,
pointed
the
out
story is not.
in a democracy, if you don't obey them, if you're not willing to put up with the rules and you break the rules, you should be in jail.
You should be, yeah.
And frankly,
Or out of the system. You should be, okay, you don't want to be a part of it, goodbye.
so,
You know, especially if you're coming in from somewhere else and you're like, oh, I want to come for opportunities. Opportunities. Oh, for opportunities for what? You know,
exploit other
like you
people.
think that people are going to hand you opportunities? You have to work for them. So it's interesting, that if you're coming from elsewhere and you're wanting to be a part of a system, maybe make sure that you actually want to be a part of that system before you come for opportunities to what? To exploit that system? To drive it into the ground, to destroy it? Make sure that you actually want to be a part of it, to work to keep building it, or don't come.
I just want to point out I agree with you, that we have problems with domestic terrorism in the form of biker gangs and stuff like that. There was one biker, head of a biker gang in Quebec, who wanted to take over the Quebec political system. Now, anyone involved in that little venture should have been accused of terrorism, convicted, and then, like, and also treason. And it seems there's no penalty really for treason. It used to be death penalty, even in democracies. What it should be is better than life imprisonment, because these idiots, gangsters, run their kingdoms or empires from within the jails. Your citizenship is taken away from you. Doesn't matter if you were born here, if your parents were born here, whatever. Your citizenship is taken away from you, and you are deported. Come back again, and I guess it'd have to be the death penalty.
All right, Tulsa King Season 2. It says at the bottom, one of the best gangster shows in year, by Screen Rant said that.
No, it's not the one that stars
Stallone.
Yeah, idiot. Yeah, okay.
So anyway, I don't know. Maybe they aren't making gangster shows. For this to be one of the best, it just seems really bizarre to me, because, like I said, I rated the top of the stack one 2 out of 5. So we're moving down the stack here.
Now, he does talk like a gangster, but he's Italian after all.
Yeah. But anyway, what do I not like about the show? I don't like the fact that he has been given lines, Stallone has been given lines so that he seems like he's actually literate or something like that, which, and Stallone himself might be. The character he's playing, I just have a hard time connecting, making him seem believable with the different things. So he's, at one point, he recites an Oscar Wilde poem. I cannot picture this character ever doing that.
Oscar Wilde was as gay as a jay, folks.
Yeah, so, and sure, Stallone's wearing a pinky ring in this and stuff like that.
Oh, is
so,
he?
yeah, but he's not.
On his nose? Or
What?
I'm just kidding. Pinky ring on his nose. I'm just kidding. Okay.
I don't know what
Sorry.
that could mean. Anyway, yeah, I don't like that. I like the guy who's a marijuana store owner, who's, he comes up with witty things, or, he knows, he has information to add that other people don't want to listen to, or whatever. I like that. But when Stallone comes up with something, I'm just like, this isn't believable. And it's just a really stupid show about really stupid people that want opportunities. They want to live the high life, live in fancy houses and drive fancy vehicles and all that sort of thing. And so they're doing all of this stuff that, whatever. I don't know. Maybe some people like this kind of stuff, not me.
One thing that should be pointed out with the bosses is they don't just do it for the money, they do it for control, pushing people around. One of the 3 guys who was most instrumental in whacking John F. Kennedy, basically controlled all of Louisiana. He was that powerful. And that's a politics, everything. And he, of course, controlled the mafia in Dallas, which is in another state, and it's not just across the border. Louisiana does border with Texas. It's quite a ways away. Joe Civello, or Civello is probably how they mispronounce it, was his underling. He was kind of the boss of Dallas. But the guy is Carlos Marcello, it probably should be, but they'd probably say Marcello. Bad guy, really bad guy. And he was probably number 2. Santos Traficante out of, I believe it's Tampa, some place in Florida, was the main guy. He ended up whacking John Rosselli, who was working out of Los Angeles and presumably Nevada as well, and killed Sam Giancana, who was the head of the mafia in Chicago. That's how powerful these two chimps were.
Yeah, if you don't want to work within the law in a democracy, you can't be here. You can't be a part of a democracy. Plain and simple. There's nothing cool about it.
No, and that's a weird thing. A lot of these Italians going around, hey, they're kind of cool, Frank Sinatra.
Or bikers.
Idiots.
Bikers. There's nothing cool about that.
No. And they should, a lot of bikers are kind of like Sonny Barger, probably Barger, but German extraction. Not really mafia, Sicilian or anything like that. He should be deprived of it. He should have been deprived of his citizenship. And if no one would take him once he got deported, then once got a deportation order, then lifetime in jail, solitary confinement, no contact with, like you'd have maybe one person or two, maybe 3 people on shifts contacting him. If anything, if he manages to run his empire, I guess it'd have to be death penalty. And any of those 3 people that are contacting him, they get investigated, for mafia activity.
How is it with teriyaki sauce instead of gravy?
Oh, this is plenty fine. It's just, I don't know what
I wanted to try something.
something went down the wrong way.
It shouldn't be too spicy.
No, it's not. No, something just went down the wrong way. Sometimes when I get a little cool, my throat kind of gets a little, not phlegmatic, but full of phlegm.
So Network. I asked James if he'd watched it. It's from 1976.
Yeah, I did say, is he the guy that's saying, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore?
Yeah.
There we go. So I have seen it in the movie house.
Oh, you did?
Back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
I recognized Faye Dunaway
Mm-hmm.
back then. And who was it? Hal something or other was William Holden. That's the guy. Oh, it's got, is that Duvall there? Robert Duvall. He's a very good actor.
Yeah.
And Peter Finch is in it too.
Yeah, well, it's meant to be
actress,
a kind of serious comedy,
Mm-hmm.
if that's not an oxymoron.
Oh, there's lots of them.
But anyway, I want to like this more than I did, because it is witty, but it's not entertaining. Sadly, it just kind of missed the mark for me. So.
Now he was on TV, right? The character.
Yeah.
But there have been these guys who come along like have been mad as hell and they're not going to take it anymore. I can put up with it when it's like Don Cherry and stuff like that, but when you get idiots like Rush Limbaugh, Tucker Carlson, a host of thousands, and sadly, many of them end up being politicians.
And there's one point where, like, that's a story about newscaster Howard Beale, who he ended up being a big hit after this is just a fictional story, right? Mm-hmm. After he got on the air and he announced that next week he was going to shoot himself on the air. And he got fired, and then it was so popular he got his own show and stuff. And so so it's really quite ridiculous that way. I don't even think that would happen today, but it certainly wouldn't have happened in 1976. But,
These scumbugs,
and they have,
like Rush Limbaugh, they'd never do the world a favor of ridding the world of themselves.
yeah, there's a liberation group in here who they're filming their crimes as they're doing doing their crimes themselves, doing the filming themselves, and so they want to put that stuff on the air too. And
Well, it sounds like Osama bin Laden, really.
yeah, anyway, so um, yeah, there were things in this that I found kind of interesting. There's one point where Howard Beale, his friend and coworker, he's telling Beale that, well, you're having a nervous breakdown. You need help. We shouldn't be, exploiting you, like putting you on the air when we need help. And anyway, and Beale was saying, well, no, I've never felt more sane or whatever, more together. Like he's talking about how he feels connected to every living thing, every plant, every animal, and like an electrical connection or something. It's funny, like I've felt that way sometimes, connected to, and definitely haven't felt that I was having a nervous breakdown or anything when I felt that way. So
I think the whole idea was it was supposed to be liberating back when. I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. Guess what? Someone in the media is not going to have any sort of wherewithal to figure out what's happening. All they are mouthpieces.
yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's a story about, like, he's saying to the audience, he's on the show live, and he's telling the audience to turn off your TV now, while I'm talking right now, just stop listening, and whatever. Yeah, it's funny who people go to for answers. Anyway, so
Like if people have to be told that, they're hopeless.
yeah, because I mean, before that he was saying only 3% of you read a book, only 15% of you read a newspaper.
Yeah. It might be true. Might have been true back then.
Yeah.
I think those figures would be awfully high nowadays. And
Anyway.
it shows. That's why people end up voting for Donald Trump. That's how they end up being huge supporters of Bernie Sanders. You folks on the putative left wing, you don't belong anywhere on the left wing. If you're for Bernie Sanders, you can't figure out whatever from whatever. I'm not going to say what.
Bottom of the stack, Inspector Ellis, The Last Hope for Justice.
Oh yeah.
It's an Acorn TV production.
Oh my God, those guys.
And
Or gals.
I don't know. I guess the Brits really like doing the detective
Things with
shows.
women
Yeah,
lead detectives.
whatever. Didn't care for it. So, you're going to talk about traveling,
Yeah,
hiking.
hiking.
Yeah, which is interesting. We looked at that. We've been looking at that book off and on for a couple months now. Anyway, it's
Yeah.
a loaner from the library. Nice coffee table book to open up and daydream about going places. Maybe when you're stuck indoors in the rain, like it was raining pretty good yesterday. And anyway, so we noticed something interesting about that book, and I don't know why, but it has the hikes from Canada. It's well, I suppose I should just show them the picture of the tea house, but there's I should have had the thing all set up so that I could do it easily. But yeah, the best hikes from Canada they don't have very well. This picture's nice, but they have one Lake Agnes Tea House, a hike that includes a cup of tea, and heard that that cup of tea is very, very expensive. So you
Did
actually
they
don't
actually have
want-
a picture of the cup of tea? Flip
They
over the
do.
page.
The distance is 4.2 miles, 6.8 kilometers out and back.
Now they
2 to
mentioned
4
another
hours
one that's
easy.
maybe. Is it easier? No, I can't remember. Anyway,
But
an
yeah,
alternative.
so when you're looking through a hiking book, the best places to hike, this is
I'd miss
probably
whatever-
not the way to sell the hike to people. That's ridiculous.
That
And
is.
honestly,
That's
I
about
think
the
that's-
worst one they had. In
Yeah.
Now
I
understand.
think maybe National Geographic just didn't want to give a decent picture of Canada, because honestly, every hike we have in Canada is probably better than every hike they have in the United States. Because we just have so much beauty here. But and here the picture for Laford, just in Quebec, this hike in Quebec. They have, this is the picture. What? Why is that the picture for this hike? That's ridiculous. So
They've got some great pictures in there.
They
but
do.
It's not of Canada.
just not of Canada, which is
No.
ridiculous.
I
because
haven't heard about the
Canada's
Howe
so
Sound hike,
awesome.
but it sounds pretty good. Access is close to Vancouver, apparently. The Howe Sound,
Yeah, they have a nice picture of the Northern Lights for Alaska.
but that's Alaska.
Alaska, you're right.
And they've got a lot of entries for the United States.
Well,
Guess
they
what,
would.
folks, at National Geographic? Canada has as much land area as the United States.
And they
more.
have Howe Sand Crest Trail for British Columbia. But
So that's close to Vancouver.
but that's all they have for
3.
for Canada.
Yeah.
And
And there are many, like Ecuador has 3. Ecuador's on the equator, that's what its name means. But it is very small by comparison with Canada. Yes, it's got the Andes Mountains, and in Ecuador they're very spectacular.
yeah.
But
So anyway, the only day hike they have in here for Canada was the
Agnes,
yeah.
whatever.
The
it is.
Howe Sound Crest Trail is 1 to 3 days, and the one in Quebec is 2 to 4 days. And the British Columbia one, that's strenuous, and the one in Quebec is moderate. So
What did they call the Agnes? Tree
Easy.
house. Tree, just easy.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, so James is probably going to talk about that a little more, because I don't know where we had
Well-
come across that National Geographic had rated
Quickly,
Crip Lake one of the top hikes.
day hikes.
Oh, day hikes, yeah. But still, it didn't make it in there, and the tea house in Lake Louise, that one did, and that one's just a day hike. So,
It's ridiculous.
yeah.
We've seen the start of it, you know, and we've seen what would have been a much better day hike trail that ended in the tea house. which
Oh,
was-
that one's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be way better
Yeah.
than this one. So
Where's that one, in Jasper?
it's in
No, it's Yoho.
Yoho.
Yoho, yeah, that one's better. So I don't
Well,
know why
it's
that
awesome.
one.
I mean,
It's
how
so
many
awesome.
falls? You know, like
So
there,
many.
there's one thing in here. Land of not 10,000 dances or 1,000 dances. It's a hike of a dozen falls or something like
There's
that. And
in
you
there.
know,
in
yeah,
that book?
and it's
Well,
supposed
there's
to be
one
the
in Canada.
biggest, the most exciting falls thing in the world. And I'm going, you can't beat Yoho because there's lots of falls there,
And it's just, you
including
can do that in
one
just a
of
day hike.
Canada's
It's
highest
amazing.